Welcome to this episode of the iHemp Hour. It's our Earth Day episode, a hempworking event at Mid Michigan Hemp Supply. The beginning of this video got cut off a little bit. The recording didn't start right away. A little technical difficulty, but we launched right into Mike Brennan giving us a news update. And then we have Tony giving us a tour of the facilities up there, talking about some genetics and different varieties that he's growing as he's walking through the greenhouse. We lose a little audio. It drops out at times, but it works out pretty well. And all in all, it was an excellent day. Great to get together in person and network with, fellow hempsters. It's always a good time. So we look forward to the next event. Yeah, so let's get on to the show.
For a while. The Canna Coalition and some other folks, including the Michigan Cannabis Association, is working with...
Hey, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What's... Are we not live?
We're good. I'm sorry. We are recording. I just want to make sure.
Okay. Anyway, so yesterday on my show, 420 Post, we had some folks that come on to announce the new Canna Social Equity Fund. For those that don't know, I mean, in the hemp world, it's not a big issue there, but in the cannabis world, to keep your MRA license, you have to be involved in social equity programs in your community. So what the Canna Social Equity Fund is allow MRA provisioning centers in Michigan to check that box. Part of what goes on there is then these various provisioning centers donate to the fund. That those funds then are used for a variety of purposes, still to be defined. Could be the expungement issue in Michigan. As you know, there's a lot of people with cannabis arrests, not federal but state, that are looking to get expunged. That could be used for that. Ryan Basar is big in that area. It could be used for helping people of color to get into the business, because it's a tough business to get into as it is, and people of color are disproportionately impacted because of the war on drugs, right? So it could be a variety of things, and again, that's all to be determined, but the point is the fund is now in existence. And in fact, our Hero Project to help veterans received a $500 check yesterday from the fund that we're going to use then to work with some folks. Like a guy you should get on your show at some point is Rob Robar, who does the Healthy Friendly Hemp Company. He has more than 1,000 customers around the nation, and he's our first producer that we're working with. So we're going to use that money to make hero labels to go on his products, to go to those thousand or so of his customers around the country. So it'll be a really great way to kick off our project, which is aimed at helping veterans, not only feeding them, but then eventually, as we raise the money, we're going to use that to provide training, job training, perhaps teach them how to be hemp or cannabis farmers, because you know how labor intensive that is. And according to the folks that we've talked to in the medical community, having the veterans with the PTSD being around plants and nature will help with those symptoms. So we're going to, and then eventually we'd also like to build veteran housing if the fund gets big enough. And that's our Hero Project, and we are one of the beneficiaries, so one of my own shameless plugs there. Other big news this week that came down the pike is the House of Representatives. They approved the cannabis banking legislation, and now it goes to the Senate. Everybody's keeping their fingers crossed on that one, because you know how tight it is right now trying to get any banks to work with anybody in both the cannabis and the hemp fields, because there's that bugaboo about drugs and all that stuff, right? So it goes to the Senate. We're optimistic about that. I think probably not this year, because Biden has so many other things on his agenda, but it could be an election year issue next year. Put some heat on people, vote for this, or people are not going to, vote for you, kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays itself out. So those are the two biggies from the cannabis world. Back to you, Dave.
All right. Well, Blaine, do you have some news? That Safe Banking Act, that's a real big deal. We really need it to pass the Senate.
Yeah, we're, Mike touched on that. We're certainly very thankful that that's finally made some progress through. Of course, the House did pass it a year ago, and it died in the Senate, so we'll see what happens there. But it's called the Secure and Fair Enforcement Banking Act. That's what they call it, SAFE. and it was sponsored by Representative Ed Promoter. He's out of Colorado, Democrat. It passed 321 to 101 with a 2/3 majority and support for more than 100 House Republicans. So now, again, like we said, going on to the Senate. So now is where our work needs to come in, right? We need to contact our representatives, our senators, that'd be Stabenow, Peters, and contact them and say, look, we need some help here, and we'd like your support. And if they won't ask, if you send a letter in and they ask them if they won't support it, why they wouldn't support it. But I think we're going to get good support there from both of them to pass this. So I am a little more optimistic than Mike is about this. I think this is going to get done this year. I think it's time, and I think it's going to happen. So
keep our fingers crossed, right? I know that's one of the biggest bugaboos I hear from everybody is they can't get credit card processing, they can't get bank accounts. It's just a real mess. So
yeah, we're still hearing, from members and from others that, they have a bank, they're working with the bank, all of a sudden, boom, they shut it down. An interesting story. This is on transportation, not really on banking, but I'm trying to get some oil out of Texas, a different brand of oil that I want to carry. And they mentioned that, well, they used to be able to ship on UPS and FedEx small containers like I want a 5-gallon container. And they said that FedEx and the UPS now has stopped shipping their products out of their facilities. So there's a lot of things that we still got to work on this. There's no question that we have a lot of education to do for everybody, certainly. But this is a huge step in the right direction.
When you talk about that whole banking industry, they're talking about anywhere from 16 to 25 billion by 2025, and I don't think the banking really wants to miss out on that kind of money. I mean,
Tony, I'm surprised that they've let it go as long as they have and not forced it. Really, I'm really surprised there.
Yeah, and then money talks, and what else walks, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing. If we can get marijuana descheduled from a 1 to maybe a 3 or a 4, I just completely eliminate it off the schedule entirely. That's going to open up a whole bunch of stuff. But there's also then you're going to see big tobacco, big liquor, all those companies pouring into the industry. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yep, I agree.
A couple of things that we're still looking for help on with support, obviously, is HR 841. That's the Hemp and Hemp-Derived CBD Consumer Protection and Market Stabilization Act. In September, that was introduced, and on February 7th, 2021, it was reintroduced. There's 17 other colleagues that reintroduced the bill, and so we need everybody's help, again, contacting our representatives on this one to get this bill going on there. So, again, that will open up the industry to, everybody, right? We'll be able to really, I think, other players will come in. Yes, there's going to be big players that are going to come in, but those big players are going to need product, and that's where we're going to be able to help that part of the industry. So a couple other exciting things that have happened this week. I personally know that hemp is going in the ground already. This is for fiber and grain. So that's exciting to see that that's going on right now. So that's exciting. Now, a couple things you got to do this year that are a little different. One for sure is that you have to, the background check. So if anybody's having problems with that, please let us know. It's really simple to do. At least mine was very simple to do. My local UPS store, which is literally 5 minutes away from me, I went online to Sterling Identity is where I went. Now, not all UPS stores work with Sterling, so you got to find out who they work with. But mine was Sterling Identity. It cost me $50. I went online. They gave me a QR code. I went down to the store. They scanned in the QR code. Yep. I went over to a little digital pad, put my fingers on it. And literally by the time I got back home, which is 5 minutes, I had my background check done. So pretty simple to do that way. There are other ways to do it, but that seemed to be the least painful for sure. One of the other things you need to do is you need to make sure that you certify your acres at the FSA office this year. For some of you that haven't done that, that's going to be just a new process. We have a recording that we're going to have up on the site from our Michigan Farm Service Agency, going through some of the steps you need to do. Pretty simple. The basics on it is you're going to have to contact the office. You got to prove who you are. So you're going to need a driver's license, and if you have a social security card, those two things help. And then if you're leasing the ground, you need to have a very, very simple lease. Doesn't have to say how much it is. It's just, I am leasing from this person for this year, next year, wherever it is. It doesn't even say what crops are or anything else. The landowner needs to sign it, and they need to have that before they can put you on that piece of property. You get a really cool map out of the whole deal on that. So, but it's pretty simple to do, but I would suggest you start that process now if you haven't certified at the office before. Just get that out of the way, because what happens here in another month in June until July 15th, that's when you have to certify by. The offices get very, very busy, and it's a little more work for them to get through and do all that. So just do that now before you get out in the field and get going on that. And we'll have another, like I said, we'll have a video up there and a little bit talking about that. Excuse me, I have a little frog today. So another thing that's pretty exciting is we're able to find out a little bit more about the what they call the CFAP program. That's a Corona Assistance Food Program to help farmers. So if you're a regular farmer and you've already signed up for that, you're automatically going to get another $20 per acre. That'll automatically happen. That's all taken care of. But if you were a hemp grower, before you couldn't do this, and now you can. So if you're a hemp grower for 2020, you need to contact the FSA office. And then you need to talk with them about how to get certified and get that contract taken care of. Basically, it's going to be $35 per acre that you grew in 2020. Now you need to certify, okay? And so you need to do that. And again, that'll be the same steps you're going to do to certify this year anyways. So again, if you need help, contact me, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help step everybody through that process. It's pretty simple. So those are some of the kind of exciting things that's going on. And Dave, I don't want to take any more time because I'm pretty excited to see what's going on. I kind of stuck at home here while you're out on the road today. So
you see the pretty girls behind me here?
Yeah, that's pretty.
We're in Midland in the greenhouses with Tony Bertini from Mid Michigan Hemp Supply. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Thanks for inviting us into your house here today.
Yeah, I appreciate having you guys up. There's a lot going on in the hemp industry, and I think all the farmers and a lot of people that are out there need all the help they can get.
Yeah. So what are you working on, Tony? What's the big for 2021?
So
exciting.
2021, we're trying to work on some genetics that a lot of people are getting into the fiber market. So we're trying to find some genetics that will actually produce 11 to 13% CBD, as well as being able to use the rest of it for fiber. So we've been working on some different strains, and it's something to do. What I see happening in the whole industry is a lot of people are going into the fiber market, and it's going to crossbreed all the plants that people are growing for actual CBD oil. So we've been working on trying to find some strains that they can still do both. They can get all their tops, they can get all their nice stuff for CBD oil, and then they can still use all the rest of the plant for their fiber.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so something new.
How long do you think before you'll have something dialed in?
Well, we have a couple genetics that are right on the verge. They're right about 11%. So they've been going. We have one at 9, one at 11, and we're hoping to get something up in the 13. So we've got some strains that are in the flower house, and we're just waiting for them to mature so we can take some samples and see what they produce.
So Tony, are those going to be the tall, normal, what we see as fiber and grain plants, or are they going to be more like the CBD plants?
Well, they're the tops will all be for CBD, hopefully, and all the rest, they're still tall. I mean, we could take a little tour. I don't know if the Wi-Fi is going to let us tour the whole entire greenhouses, but behind me on the end of the rows, we have some of our fiber strains. And if they produce like we think, you know what I mean? I think it's a winner for both sides, but a lot of these people getting into the industrial stuff, they're growing a plant as well, not just hemp, but they're growing a plant called canaf. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a high fiber.
You said it a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the canaf plant is something that don't require all the licensing. It's kind of a cross between a hibiscus plant and a hemp plant. That's how I would call it. And it's very interesting at what it produces. The going market is about 40 cents a pound. So, acreage wise, we figured it out about 20 acres to bring you about 80 grand, wholesale at 40 cents a pound if it's growing, at its potential. So a little bit of experimentation this year, and we'll just see what that plant produces. But so far, I think the hemp's been the winner.
What are you doing for decortication?
As far as the dirt, or as far as
for the fiber to separate the bass from the herd?
Well, so what we're doing is we're doing hammer mills. We're working with a couple different processors that are actually running hammer mills. Now they're stripping it. They're actually doing a couple things with the herd. They're grinding that down into between 30 and 75 microns. They're using that in plastics. And as well as they're turning it down enough to use for human consumption, the intake on something real micro is kind of stronger than the oil. So we have some tablets right now we're working on a pill form that's basically 30 microns. So it uptakes into the human system twice as fast, almost instantaneous.
From the stalk?
Yeah, it's coming actually from the stalk.
So what, do you have any cannabinoids in the stalk?
Well, some parts of it do. You know, it gets mixed in a little bit, but yeah, from what we've learned, it's, you know, you're getting some of the same cannabinoids as you are. Not quite as strong as the flower, but it seems to work just as well.
Interesting. That's why.
We have some samples we can show you. They're in my office. I can kind of show you a little bit of what it works when we take a little break, or if we do, I'll grab you some of that powder so you can actually look at what it looks like, if you guys are interested in that.
Yeah.
So what other, you have, how many greenhouses do you have here on the property?
So we have 150,000 square foot of greenhouse here. There's 24 greenhouses. We designate a couple for flowering so we can do all our testing and make sure that we flower out all the plants. So when people come in here and they buy clones from us and say they want to farm their fields, we're basically guaranteeing that they're getting that same pheno of a plant. We were talking about seed packs, and people are buying, 10,000 seeds. A lot of a 10,000 seed pack, a lot of times you're getting close to 100 different phenos of a plant. When we're talking about tomato plants, right? We buy cherry tomatoes. We pretty much get all cherry tomatoes. One might be a little different, one might be a little sweeter than the other, but they're still all cherry tomatoes. Well, right now on the seed packs that you're buying and in a lot of the cannabis or the hemp industry, those phenos are different in the seed pack. Some might be way hotter in THC than others. So what we do is we go through and test them all. So when people are buying clones from us, they're coming from a mom that's been tested out and meets the requirements of the state.
Very cool. Yeah, we should get, is your phone connected?
I believe my phone's connected, so we could probably...
You could take a little walk and...
And how do we put it on one of these pictures here? Is that what we do?
So I'm seeing Tony's camera right now. I'm seeing the desk there.
Yep, your camera's live.
So if I turn around and go for a walk around here.
And then...
yep, I see Dave. Now I see your plants.
Yeah, just what you need to do then is mute the audio on the laptop, Dave, and that way you won't pick up extraneous noise. And then when you're walking around with the camera, unmute Tony's phone. Oh, there we go. All right.
I do have a question. I'm going to go back to the strain that Tony's doing for the fiber and stuff there. So are you doing any field trials on that this year, or are you still mainly in the greenhouse and doing that?
No, we do field trials. Last year we did a bunch of field trials as well. So that's how we've got a lot of it with inside the, inside and outside. So if you walk down some of our rows, these ones aren't, you'll see a big difference in the fiber strands because these guys are like luscious. They're the more green. They got a little different top on them. So mostly all these are made for clones, so we can clone. And these are a lot of our new genetics. These are, every year we start out with new plants. So this is like our Royal, these are Royal Hawaiians. We've got probably 9 to 10 different varieties that will pass a state inspection without any issues. And what kind of string. It's a little different. It's a real thin leaf. And then here's a different one. Now this is a thick, this is an oil plant. So it's real thick. It's real luscious. And then when you get down into these fiber plants, they're a little more, they're a little more lean, stringy, and, just they're not made for the oil production.
Yeah, I think you're breaking up a little bit on us, Tony, when you're walking around there.
So you're crossing the
We've been crossing some
fiber.
CBD stuff.
Yeah, we're losing
Now,
them.
we were talking about some of the different things with plants, and if you notice, I'm going to show you, see how fat that leaf is? I mean, that's bigger than your finger, right? So these are, you're losing me. Let me get a little closer in here and we'll go from there.
We're getting
you
the
hear me
video.
now?
We're just losing the audio a little bit.
All right. So do we got some audio back?
Yeah, we're good now.
Right now.
All right. So what I was talking about was, you know, a thinner leaf versus a thicker leaf. We've been working with a lot of straight, you know, some new indica varieties. If you notice, I'll show you, you know, you can see how fat these leaves are.
Mm.
So I see how wide and fat it is. So the indica strains, we've been making some different oils and they've been actually producing quite a bit more oil. We're getting 16, 17% CBD on some of the indica strains versus a thinner leaf, you know, or more of a sativa strain with a real small leaf, real thin. But these all pass our inspection phases, you know, no matter what we do.
About, you know, that how farmers need to take it all the way to retail and how that makes it.
All right. So what we're doing now is we actually are going from our soil to our oil. So what we're doing now is we're taking the plant all the way through the whole process. So we're harvesting them, we're bucking them, we're making our own oils, pain creams, that kind of stuff now. They brought out, but they haven't been able to do anything with it because it's not in a consumer state. You know, a consumer can't use it in the state they're getting it back. You guys still got decent audio?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, audio's good.
Audio's good now, and your picture was good there just a minute ago. So,
all right, we're just trying to cut you down, and I mean, we don't use anything real expensive. If you notice, they're just LED light, nothing, and you can see how luscious some plants look. So a lot of these guys are spending a lot of money on lighting and a lot of things that really just is unnecessary for this market. You know, once you put them outside, you can't. It's hard to duplicate the sun. Now, in these greenhouses, as you'll notice, I'm going to take you around the corner here. We also do a lot of annuals and perennials. And there's been some mixed things with, you know, hemp being in the same house as plants and flowers. But you see the houses, they're full of plants and flowers. And, you know, you have to battle the bugs and stuff a little bit. But other than that, they seem to be doing pretty good. This will be our second year here. And we've grown both, you know, just basically connected to the same greenhouse.
Tony,
hemp plants are more
there. You've got to have an issue. So how do you handle the mites? That's always an issue for everybody.
Well, we try to keep everything organic. We use a product called plant therapy mostly, and now we're starting to get into predator mites. So predator bugs kind of help control that whole industry. So once you get it dialed in, per se, so you're not if you have too many spider mites, you might as well just get rid of them plants and start over. But if you have it pretty close, you can introduce predator mites and predator bugs to your grow. Just some people like ladybugs. We use they're predator bugs, and they go around and they kill everything. So you don't have to deal with a whole lot of bugs and spraying. We've been trying to do as much organic and as natural growing as we possibly can.
So what kind of bugs are you using then to do your pesticides, as it were?
Well, you can use ladybugs. We do introduce ladybugs, but they're called predator bugs. It's a variety of. They're like maybe 3 different kinds of a bug, and they got a little stinger on them, and they just go through and kill all the mites.
Oh.
They don't just go around and kill them all. Ladybugs will only kill so many and only eat so many because they don't want to deplete their food source. So a lot of people go with ladybugs, but you're always going to have a few mites because they won't kill them all purposely. And hopefully that's a good picture of down the road so you guys can see. It's a lot of work taking care of all these plants. We probably got maybe 3,000-4,000 plants.
Wow.
house at all times. And it's a full-time job for de-leafing and watering and obviously checking for insects and bugs.
Tony, have you guys had a indoor crop yet that you've had to get tested by the state or not yet?
Oh yeah, we test every year. We got an indoor crop.
What I mean is under the new rules, under the new program, where they've had to come out and pull the samples.
We haven't yet. We've got one house we could probably do right now. If we walk out to the flower house, I could let you know. They're like in week 4 and 5. So right now we're just about to that stage to where they can come out and actually test it for us.
Yeah, see if we can get up to our house.
Yeah, we can try to take a walk out there if you guys want to take a little tour. And we do, like we were talking about the seedlings. These are all from seed, and these are all Matterhorn CBG. And what we'll do is out of 100 plants, we might only keep 5 phenos of it. We take the strongest and the healthiest and the ones that obviously we test. So out of 100 plants, you got to number them, label them, and they all go through the testing process. They'll end up, looking luscious and green. And then we'll put them in the flower house, and so we can test them and make sure they pass.
Pick the best of the best and make that your mother.
Yeah, we pick the best of the best, the healthiest ones, and that's what we use for our moms. We'll try to take a little trip out to the flower house. I'm not sure how the phone's going to work, but we're gonna give it our best.
Yeah, nothing venture.
We're gonna venture through the place. Little list of products, I guess, that you guys could take a look at. This is one of our tables. We have some samples, do some flour. We do pain creams. We got some little samples to send home with everybody so they can try some pain creams. We also support hemp for water. So,
what's this?
Oh, wait a minute. We got some goodies over there. Jen made these.
No, Jen did not make these.
Oh, who made them?
I did.
Uh-oh, Dave made these.
Blaine, you know what this is, right?
Oh, are those the famous chocolate balls?
These are the award-winning.
Yeah.
And I'm really hungry right now, so I'm gonna eat.
Hey, Dave, remember?
Let's see what it does, Dave. Another 15 minutes. We'll see if he still is happy.
He'll be dancing on the tables in another 15 minutes. So
exactly.
It's all about dosage, remember.
Yes.
Let's talk about another thing, you guys. So what we've learned about some of this, the hemp industry, is the kind of fertilizer that you use. We worked directly with Advanced Hemp and developed a nutrient that was water soluble. Let's see if you can see on there, a water soluble nutrient that's very concentrated. And it's been helping, it's reduced the THC production in our plants. And this is factual stuff that we worked with. And we took a plant that was almost 7% THC and dropped it down to 1. So it's a pretty big deal, trying to get the right fertilizers. These guys are using industrial fertilizers, and they're wondering why their clones or their plants are getting hot. And a lot of it's from what they're feeding it. I mean, that's what I've learned. I mean, I can take the same plant, it's not hot in my field, and I'm using advanced hemp fertilizer versus somebody else that's using a industrial grade 19 or something they get at the granary, and it's producing way too much THC. A new product we're working on is some hemp bedding. So we're trying to get some things put in so we're not wasting all our stocks after we buck them. We can actually grind them down and use them actually, for hemp bedding for smaller animals, and hopefully maybe sooner up to bigger animals, which is horses, as long as they're tested out that they're not having any allergens, because we're worried about allergies with animals.
Are you, I'm just curious, are you developing any Delta 8 out of your products, Tony?
We are. In developing Delta 8 is a little different. So what the big thing with Delta 8s is you have to add it. So there's a couple ways they're doing it. They're either doing it to the live plant and they're taking like an isolate powder and they're poofing all the flower, or you're taking it and they're doing a mist with it and they're taking it, putting it in a mister and they're misting the actual flower itself and then re-drying it out. That's what I've seen. There's not a Delta 8 plant per se. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very popular. We cover a lot of what's going on with stores around the Great Lakes area, and the provisioning centers in Chicago that stock Delta 8 products have lines around the block. People really love it.
Yeah, we're working on that. We do have 5 retail stores, so we are definitely working on, getting into that market. It's just, I want it to be safe. So we're going to take a little walk. We'll see how this works out to the flower house. As you see, it's got black plastic on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the house has got black plastic, and then we keep some of it open just so when we move plants in there, they can get used to the sunlight. A lot of times what happens is they can't take it. You know what I mean? It's too bright, too hot for them. So you have to kind of introduce them slowly. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
You might get a video and no audio, huh? Okay.
No, we got both now.
All right. So now we're going to come out into the flower house. You got both?
Yeah. Just after I said that, just after I said that, it freezes up, right?
You can see we got great big plant. Oh, let's hope it works. But some dual-ended bulbs and HPSs together, and then we were messing around with some the new LED. So this is our flower out. Hopefully you guys can still hear what we're talking about. There's like 7 or 8 different genetics out here. So they're probably getting the thing, and you guys can see some of them are pretty big. You getting back to some volume?
It comes in and out, Tony. We're seeing the pictures, and then we hear you, and still see. But it's all right.
Over there by one of them.
We'll make it work.
Dave, you see outside. Are those big enough?
Those are nice looking. Mm-hmm.
So this is how we test our genetics, So we come in here and grow them under the best conditions that you can actually grow a plant under, with dual-ended lights. And then we take our test results from there. And we do both indoor and outdoor. A lot of the plants we'll move outside, and then we'll take our test results when we do that. But that's one of the giant flower houses. This one's 150 feet long and 30 feet wide. We do fill up with totes now. We try to use, so we can monitor exactly what we're feeding and what nutrient levels. We have, homemade mixers, but it's hard to get the pH right. By the time it gets through all the system comes out, you end up with some pH deficiencies. So as you can see, there's greenhouses all over the property. We do have drying houses out here as well. We'll take a little walk to see if it comes in, and we'll take you through our veg house that we do most of our cloning from, which will be house 5 here. You guys still got any kind of volume? These are ones that we take clones off of. Gotta have air. We don't have very good service around here, so it kind of makes it hard. You guys back with us yet?
Yeah.
And we do got bucky machines. If you can see back here, we use a VZ Tech bucker, and we do rent bucky machines. We rent the mulch plastic layers, and we rent actually the planters as well. So the farmers that can't afford to buy that kind of stuff, we can rent it to them so they can have the necessary tools they need to do some planting. All right. Now we're going to walk through our retail part. So when we were talking about, the end consumer product, yes, we carry, smokable flour. We carry that kind of stuff. We have gummies and things like that. But what we specialize in is making our own oils. So we make our own pain creams. We make our own roll-ons, and we make our own CBD oils. We make pet tinctures. So we've got several pet oils as well. Now you can get full spectrum. See the full spectrum oil there. That's got, 0.03 THC or less. And then we also have the THC free stuff, which a lot of people, because they're worried about passing a drug test. You guys see it?
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're doing our soil to our oil. So the people that we do a lot of the farming stuff with, we're doing share crops with, because we need the material as well to supply our retail stores. So we're back in the greenhouse. We have a little bit of service, but lots and lots of hemp plant genetics.
Excellent. Well, Tony, thanks for that. We got most of that. So it's all right. We got most of it. So, yeah.
How do we do leave?
Oh, you got to mute one of them. Mute the phone. There you go. Okay.
We got it. We're learning. I'm behind time.
Sure. All right. That's a live show. We haven't been put up for any Emmy awards yet, but we're working on that.
That's right.
Yeah, on that one.
The people need education, and they need some help out there in the industry. I do believe that. And there's a lot of farmers out there that need the same. They're used to growing corn, soybeans, a basic crop that's always been done the same way. Well, hemp plants are a little different. I mean, every genetic that you get is handled in a different way. The pH, we've been feeding our stuff. Our pH is up 6.5 to 7. Most people in the cannabis industries is 5.8, 6.2. Hemp seems to like a little higher pH. That's just from my experience. So we do soil, mediations for people. So if they want to do what they can do to enhance their soil conditions and use less nutrients, we do have guys for that can come out there and actually help the farmer, because they don't know what, they're used to doing things a certain way, put lime on the field to balance the pH and plant their corn or soybeans. Well, these crops here are a little different. They got to be 6 foot apart. You need 5 foot, 6 foot, room to work on the plants, because if you can't get and work on the plants, if they're all just bunched together, you're not going to see or be able to handle any bugs or disease problems.
Yeah, I mean, automotive is the #1 industry in the state, and then tourism and ag vie for #2. Obviously, tourism is down right now because of the pandemic. So, I mean, ag is the #2 industry in the state, and I think a lot of farmers are going to take a serious look at hemp once they figure out how to do it. But like you say, it's educational process.
And it's hard because the seeds that you're buying from people, they tell you, last year we had a bad experience. We ordered feminized seeds, and more than 40% of them were males, so people are getting stuff and they're planting it out in their field. They work their butt off to get them in, and they're not getting what they paid for. They're getting some guy's leftover crap that he had on his sidewalk. I don't know, but they're not what they're supposed to be. That's why we put extreme measures into genetic shopping, so that we know when we sell somebody a clone or we do our own seeds now, we use light deprivation. We're not even using cross-pollination in any way unless we're trying to get new genetics. And we got a 99%, seed rate for females now. I mean, I haven't got any males yet, but out of all the seeds we did last year, we haven't experienced any males using light deprivation to feminize.
Now, we had a guy on the show, about a month ago from Poland, and he was talking about Polish genetics because they've been doing hemp for a long time. Have you guys taken a look at that at all?
I do have some European strains that we're going to grow right now. We're down in Florida, and we're doing a lot of stuff in Florida because, the House bill there is 1.5% THC that just passed through the House. And then they don't have any testing on anything used for industry in the state of Florida. So they're pretty strict on their oil rules. Like they have a lot of, all our oils that we showed you are FDA approved, meaning Florida Department of Ag approved. Not FDA as far as the federal government, but they're pretty strict down there. We get like the CBD police that come through every month and check all our stuff in our stores to make sure that it's done up to their code. and they've probably got one of the strictest rules that I've seen in any of the other states.
But then they don't test if you're growing for fiber or grain.
Industrial use, it says right in my Florida hemp license. Yeah, it's anything for industrial purposes doesn't have to be tested. So, that would be a good thing here too. People are going to go and get, they're growing for industrial. Nobody's consuming it in any way. And here, if it tests out hot, you're going to burn your whole field. Some of that stuff I think is a little ridiculous, but there's also those people out there that are probably putting a crap load of cannabis plants in the middle of their hemp field. And I think that's why they're going to in-field testing. I'm sure, people have done that.
Oh,
yes, we have reports of that, not necessarily here in the state, but in other states that's been happening as well, where they've been using it as a ruse or as a disguise to grow the other. Yep, we've had that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing that scares a lot of farmers is the fact that the crop can go hot, and then suddenly all the money and time they've invested is for naught, right? I think that really scares a lot of the traditional farmers.
Well, it's certainly one factor that certainly affects everybody.
And that's what's happened a lot, like we were talking about with the seed.
The nice thing is that there are some fairly inexpensive self-tests that are coming on the market. Neogen's got one that they're going to come out with, so farmers can kind of test that and keep looking at that as they go through. And again, most of the grain and fiber varieties, are bred that way. They just don't have that in it. So again, hopefully we'll get to the point where we'll have a genetic list or a list if you buy this variety with this genetics and approved through the various seed certification process that we'll have to do that. The other thing that's happening, which really makes a lot more sense, and hopefully this is going to get passed, it's in Paul Rand, Senator Rand's bill, is we're not going to test in the field, we're going to test the product. So whatever they come out with in the end. So whether it be the oil, whether it be the smokable, that's what we're going to test. We're not going to worry about what's going on in the field, but what's actually going out to the market. So it looks like we've lost Dave and Tony. So it looks like it's going to be the Blaine and Mike show for a while.
Hey, as well it should be, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll fill in a few more things that I can talk about. So let me come. I know that there are, Dave maybe he's coming back. We'll see.
He's working on it. Yeah, let's see here.
We had to relocate again.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. All right. So,
get near the modem. You'll be good.
It was going to be the Blaine and Mike show, and we were prepared for that. So.
Okay, good. Good.
So, Dave, I see you in your background there. You've got some hemp water or something. What's that all about?
Yeah, actually, Nick, where's Nick?
I'll tell you about it in just a second.
All right. Well, Dave, while you find him, I'll talk about a few things here I've got. So, interesting thing that happened a little bit ago, too, is the Idaho governor signs a bill allowing growing, transportation of industrial hemp in Idaho. So now all 50 states now it's illegal. They have their own legislation or their own approval in the states. Doesn't mean they all have their own plan, because some states are going under the USDA plan. So some states, we have MDR doing ours here, but other states chose not to do it. So those growers can then apply and get their license and everything through USDA. So that can happen there. So
how would Florida be able to go up to 1.5% and not test on some?
Well, I don't know. Maybe Tony can help us in on that, because other states, Kentucky, right, has also passed 1%, but we know what the federal law is, so not sure.
Well, I think we're just hoping the federal people stay out of it and they reclassify it, because it shouldn't really, 1%, we can remediate THC out of the CBD oil now. You couldn't do that before. People just didn't have the technology. It's a little costly, because we had some stuff that was a little hot, and we did it purposely to see if we could get all the THC out of it. And yes, you can. It's just a little tough. If it's above 3 or 4%, it's really hard to get it out. But if it's 3% or less, you can actually remediate the THC out of your product. So you can end up with a THC-free stuff.
Hey, there's another thing I want to ask you, Tony. I'll get your opinion. There's a story that moved that we picked up from the Michigan Marijuana Report talking about as we get to the point where international sales of hemp and cannabis and things loosen up, something coming into play is called good manufacturing practice, which would require cultivators then to have microbial monitoring, airflow analysis. That would mean air locking doors and things like that. So that would mean that you'd have to grow your hemp crop in a greenhouse versus in the field. I don't know if that's actually going to come to pass, but it is a topic that's come up. What do you think?
I think that anything for your CBD oil production is going to have to be done in the greenhouses just because of the cross-pollination factor.
Right.
I mean, we've had plants that guaranteed they were females, and who knows where they got pollen from. You know, it can travel 5 miles. You know what I mean? So I really think that's one of the reasons I bought the greenhouses, because I really think that the CBD oil part is going to end up in greenhouses or in a climatized building. Even the cannabis. I mean, you know, you don't see a lot of people growing outdoor. Yeah, in California and stuff like that. But, you know, in the cannabis industry, years ago, I was the guy that put on the medical marijuana expo at the Novi Expo Center. I tried to get people to, you know, people's homes were burning down. They were hooking up 10 lights in their basement to a panel that was already overloaded with their everyday household. So we opened up some buildings and rented space. And we did it all completely legal with every permit in the city behind us. And they still came, kicked our doors in, you know what I mean? And trashed all the people's stuff. And, you know, basically at the end of the day said, we're sorry, we made a mistake. We didn't know you were a legal grow. So I've lived through all the cannabis stuff, and I'm really hoping that, you know, the hemp industry changes things around a little bit and helps some people in need, you know.
So anything that for human consumption would be indoors in a really controlled environment, almost clean room like environment. But if you're growing it for, you know, other purposes like hempcrete or construction or whatever it might be, then that could be outdoors then, right?
Yeah, it has to be because of the scale.
I mean, you're talking down there in Florida. I mean, you know, 16 to 25 billion by 2025 is a big number.
Big number.
So, you know, Florida, they're trying to get 2 and 3 crops in down there because they have the sunshine and they have the weather. You know, it don't even freeze down there till, you know, January. So they get a lot longer growing season, number one. And if you put your plants, you know, outright, you can get at least 3 crops out of Florida, as long as you can handle the humidity and, you know, the hot. So we've been working with strains down there that can handle that humidity, because you don't do very good with molds and mildews, you know. That's not what you want in your end product.
Yeah, 70% humidity is tough, right?
It is, and that's what we fight with here at the greenhouses. So you have to have a lot of air movement. So one thing about Florida, if you find the right spot, there it's really breezy. And then if you find, you know, some of them low-lying areas, I mean, the air is stagnant. It just sit there and breed mold rather than, you know, on the top of a hill somewhere where you get a lot of breeze and a lot of wind flow.
Hey, Nick, come over here. Blaine, you were asking about
the hemp for water.
Hemp for water?
Yeah.
So we have Nick here with us from Hemp for Water, and he's going to kind of hopefully fill in and give you guys a little incentive of what we're actually doing with the Hemp for Water project. We're trying to develop some genetics right now to clean our lakes and waters and our streams.
Yes, and Tony is our genetics pro here in Michigan, and as he stated, that we are looking for some genetics that are hardy towards molds and mildews for the Florida project specifically. But when growing in an aquaponics condition on open water sources, we definitely want to fight that powdery mildew. I'm going to move up closer so you can kind of hear me a little better. Our sign's right behind us.
Just all you got to do is keep your head right in the middle, and you'll block it there. So,
right. So, all right, I'm going to try to block out the sun.
That's
there.
good. No, that's perfect. So go ahead.
All right. So our mission obviously is to clean as much water as possible with industrial hemp. We do this by a volatilization process that is triggered by the aquaponics mats that we install on polluted water sources. Polluted meaning MCL levels have been met for phosphates and nitrogen specifically, heavy metals. A lot of these nutrients that are very demanding to the hemp plant are naturally occurring or influenced occurring in water sources where they shouldn't be. So essentially, we're just taking this high demand plant that we pay a lot of money to feed in a greenhouse setting, and we're putting it out in Mother Nature where these nutrients shouldn't be occurring in our.
We have a lot of runoff. There's a lot of farmers, and you get a lot of runoff. And there's a couple ideas of how you can actually present the hemp plant. We're talking about doing some shoreline planting, so it actually filters through the hemp plant, and before it gets to the water.
Right.
That's one, process. And right now they're working with floatable mats. They're trying to put little solar panels on an actual floatable mat that's got little pod holes in it that you can stick a plant in. But it's, as everybody knows, when you're growing cannabis, you can't let the roots just sit in water. It'll just kill the plant. But if you put a little solar panel out there and you put a little aerator underneath there, then those roots are getting some oxygen, and they'll keep growing, and they'll keep sucking up all the phosphorus and the nitrogen out of the lakes and streams that we're having problems with.
Right. And as we all know, the nitrogen and the phosphorus are the main fuels for harmful algae blooms. And they create a perfect environment for cyanobacteria to grow and multiply at rates that make the bodies of water unsafe. And there's some new research that's showing that cannabis and hemp can actually remediate polluted soils with PFAS. So there's a multiple tier benefit to this plant, not just on the consumable market side, but in the industrial side, where we can clean the environment and produce some sustainable building materials out of it as well. We're looking at different things with hempcrete, as I heard was talked about, which is very beneficial in my region. I live on the Shiawassee Flats, and we're a flood zone for the catch basin, if you will, of the state of Michigan prior to water flowing into the Saginaw River. So we catch all the nutrients from all the farm fields, industrial runoff, manufacturing, et cetera, that goes into our waters. And this would be a great place, being that there are at least a half dozen Superfund sites from Dow Chemical out to the mouth of the river that we could do some really valuable research on this project. And I think that our region and the environment that we're growing in here is much more suitable for these strains that we've been working with, because of the less humidity up here in our environment. And then 5B is a great temperate zone to grow hemp and cannabis. So we'd like to move that project up here to the that's our phone here in the greenhouse.
I thought it was my phone going off.
we are open for business today, so we get a few phone calls here and there.
Yep. And when we have some visitors coming through, we have a active tour today, so you'll see some guys cruising back and forth. But it's a pleasure to be able to chat with y'all and get some live exposure for our 501c3 nonprofit. Right now, we are all volunteers that have been working hard to clean water, and catching some really great support along the way, but also have a lot of red tape to work through. So the more support that we can get in the form of volunteers, profitable donations, all different types of avenues to support the movement. We really appreciate all of it.
Be sure to send me some information. I have a different audience. I have a cannabis audience, but I'm sure they have similar issues, right? So Mike at mimarijuanareport.com. I'll put it in the chat there for you. But send me that info, and then we'll give you some publicity with my audience as well.
That'd be most appreciated. And we did very well at the Copenhagen 420 event last weekend amongst the cannabis industry as well. There's a great concern amongst cannabis users and the general public who are concerned for wellness and the environment as to where we're heading. So this project is great. And a lot of people seem to be responding well to it, especially recently. But it does work better as a proactive solution, as something that can work as a active defense system. As Tony was saying, we can plant it near bodies of water. It's got a deep, thick, fibrous root system that helps filter contaminants prior to hitting our surface water. In addition to source point in the water, doing this remediation through a floatable biomat.
Interesting. Well, speaking of hemp, as you know, I'm a former auto reporter from the Detroit Free Press a long time ago, many moons ago. And now the auto industry is taking a serious look at using hemp for in lieu of plastic composites and oil-based composites, things like that. Some right now it's more confined to the luxury brands like BMW and things like that, Porsche. But I think that'll trickle down to the more mainstream market. Be kind of cool. I know I'm not a farmer, I'm a city guy, but I've been on the show for a year, so I've learned a lot. One of the real tricky things that I've learned is that farmers don't tend to grow crops where they don't have a contract on the end for someone to purchase it. Be nice if we could get the auto industry really plugged into this. They consume a heck of a lot of hemp, I would think, right?
Exactly, and that's what Tony and I have been kind of, and a few of our affiliates have been working towards is, from seed to finish.
All right.
Keep everything directly in line, keep the system as vertical as possible, and have an outlet for the crop based on consistent testing and vetted genetics that Tony is working on. We know what we're going to get at the end.
Yeah.
My company, Grandpa's Garden Company, offers a organic service that we're going to kind of couple up with some of Tony's hemp clients in this season to help ensure that crop is going to make it to the end of the harvest with success.
Mm-hmm.
We can organically influence the crop on a nutrient scale. We can also do organic IPM in the form of predators, beneficial bacterias, and different types of enzymes that we can introduce to the plants to improve the overall health of the plant as a probiotic, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
To give our plants a better defense system against the natural pests that pests and disease that occur per region.
Like we were talking about earlier with the predator bugs and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it's exciting. And I love the education part of it, where I get to go to people's farms and explain to them, this is the problem with the plant, not only point out the issues that they're having and give them some education on that part of it, but this is how we can biologically control this rather than going to the store buying foliar treatment and trying to kill it off. We can't do that with an edible crop. We're trying to consume this. We don't want those residuals in our finished product.
Sure.
Cool. All right, I think it's time for the Hemperor, isn't it?
The Hemperor.
We can certainly do that. That's for sure. There we go.
There we go. There's our Hemperor. I remember we were talking about that at the show. I just loved the Hemperor.
That is cool.
Well, I'm going to try to up the game here. I'm trying to do some videos and some pictures and everything else, and we'll get to that point. But today it's just kind of a fun little recipe, a quick one. It's an omega smoothie. But before I get to that, I want to let everybody know that we're trying to develop a hempcrete workshop that we're trying to do yet this spring down at the Critter Barn in Zeeland, and we'll have more details on that, but just to let you know that's kind of waking in the works there. So we'll kind of keep everybody on that. So this is a hemp omega, it's an omega smoothie. This smoothie is a great way to get the omega essential fatty acids. It tastes like a rich milkshake, and it's unimaginable how good it is. So anyways, this is, you take 2 cups of frozen strawberries or raspberries. My favorite would be raspberries because I'm a raspberry kind of guy. 1 cup of vanilla soy milk. Now you also could make your own hemp heart milk as well. So don't forget you can do that. 2 cubes iced, all cut up in cubes or crushed if you have that availability. 1 tablespoon hemp seed oil. And I see, Tony, you're carrying that great hemp seed oil there in your product in your store too.
Oh yeah, we've been using it. We've got some good mixes with that.
Yeah. Would that be the Down on the Farm hemp oil?
That would be the
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that. I don't know where I've heard of that before, but I've heard of it. So
It goes in my coffee every morning.
oh yeah, okay.
We've been making our own little mixes with herbs, just like carabas. They have the little thing where you dip the bread in the little herb thing.
Yeah,
That's
Mhm.
one of the way I loves to do that. That's why I love it.
Phenomenal. It really is.
Yep. 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, a zest of a half a lemon. And you place all the ingredients in a food processor or a blender, and you do it until it's smooth and creamy, and you enjoy that omega-filled milkshake for you. So
Wow, is that you're gonna have that? Actually, I have all those ingredients in the house, so you'll have to. I have 2 bottles of the Down on the Farm hemp oil, by the way, and so
make a lot of smoothies then.
yes, and so you'll have to. Are you going to post that to the website? That
Yeah,
recipe?
that'll be posted real soon to the website.
Okay.
We thought you
sounds-
were making a smoothie. We wanted to see the whole process. And
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get the videos going. I will. Like I said, I got to up my game here.
Take some notes from Emerald's videos.
That's why I got the hat. You know,
I like it. I love it. I think it fits you good, man. It looks good.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can't do it well, at least look good while you're doing it, kind of thing.
There
you go.
And Blaine, you were mentioning the hempcrete. Personally, I have a civil engineering background, and I would love to be a part of that process and help out with that workshop any way that I could possibly do.
Well, I'll be in contact with you very soon then, because that's part of one of my day projects this afternoon is to get the committee. We've already talked a little bit about it, so we'll get you included in that.
Perfect. We've actually been involved. I used to work for McDowell and Associates Engineering, based out of Ferndale, down in Detroit, and up here in Midland as well.
Oh,
we
cool.
worked on some featherweight mixes that utilize balsa wood as its aggregate. That could easily be substituted for our hemp products. And those featherweight mixes are applicable for the end of runways on airports. For overshooting runways, they're supposed to break apart and slow down planes. They're also utilized in storage and warehousing applications for lightweight shelving, stuff like that we can utilize hempcrete for. And we had also been looking into doing some building products in the form of hemp wood in the way of engineering products and surveying stakes.
Wow.
Lots of good developments for hemp in the
There's so many things every day. I'm learning so many different things about what's being done with hemp. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Did you guys hear they're making fishing poles now?
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, there's a big fishing pole factory, and they're going to be starting to make all fiberglass fishing poles out of hemp now.
And I've even heard that they're making frisbees out of hemp.
Yeah.
Is Dave around there somewhere? I'm looking for Dave's face. Okay, here's where you can do a shameless plug, Dave. Get in there. Come on.
And shoot, we're at the end of our show. We didn't mention our sponsors. So Film Organic has the mulch product. Thank you for Film Organic and iHemp Manufacturing. Go to ihempmfg.com to learn all about the hemp frisbees. We're going into production next week.
Well, you got to get into those hemp fishing poles next there, Dave. I'm thinking.
Frisbees are the way. That's our
motto.
So we've got enough to do. The frisbee market's taking over.
That'll keep you busy, right?
Yeah, I think
just think if there was a Mid Michigan Hemp Supply frisbee that was given away to customers when they bought clones or something like that.
Well, he could sell them and make money out of it.
This scene is very big in Michigan.
Oh,
yeah, I think that would be a great idea.
I don't get a commission for this, by the way. So
all right, I'll take care of you. Thanks, buddy.
And you guys just remember that we're here to help. I mean, if people need help, that's what we're here for. We are here to help, our farmers and our people that want to learn about the CBD products and in the whole industry itself. It doesn't cost anything to ask a question. So if people do need some help out there, that's why we're all together here, to try to help in the industry.
Yep.
Well, so put into the chat or say right now, how can people reach out to you then if they want to get more information?
Well, we have Jen, that's our vice president here, that'd like to come over and tell you exactly how we can get into all the stuff. Now, Jen, we want to see your pretty face.
I was going to say, she's prettier than the guys I'm seeing online there, So.
You can contact us at www.midmichiganhempsupply.com, or you can email us at info@midmichiganhempsupply.com. We also have social media. You can reach out to us via Messenger on Facebook. One of us on the team will be happy to help with any questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can see you.
There you go. All right. Thanks, guys. I think that's a wrap for this week.
All right, well, thanks, Dave. Again, I wish I was there with you guys. One of these days I'll be able to make it up there and tour the facility and see that, Tony. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your whole facility today and letting us have this Earth Day. Remember, today is Earth Day. So
yeah, happy Earth Day, everybody.
Anything we can do, guys, we're here for you. We appreciate everything you're doing.
Yeah, just think Earth Day 2019. What were we doing, Blaine?
2019 was a special day especially for iHemp Michigan and iHemp Michigan members. We were one of the first ones to go through and get our license to grow hemp. So that was a special day for sure.
What was your grower number, Blaine?
14 for grower number and 15 for processor number. So
yeah,
I think mine was 11 or something. I don't know. Mine was right there. I can't remember. I was right there I made my appointment, so I mean, I went up to the actual facility to get mine. I was trying to remember what my number was. I have to look back.
Yeah, mine was 44. I waited till about the end, but I think there was about 52.
Yeah, there was 52 of us went through that day. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Yeah, I guess it was cool. You know what I mean? It was a good experience. I think it's came a long ways, and I just really feel that it's going to help our industry in the, you know, out there in the world. I mean, you know, we got to start becoming cleaner and greener, and that's what we're all about.
Well, today Biden is having a big climate change or whatever you want to call it Zoom meeting with all the world leaders on Earth Day. So he's into that too. He wants to reduce our carbon footprint by 50% by what 2035 or something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, let me tell you something. It ain't feeling too warm today.
Yeah, that's true. We have I'm in Ann Arbor. We have a frost warning here. I'm not sure about you guys up there. So.
And speaking of the carbon footprint, hemp is something that will play key in that carbon initiative, I believe. We can actually gain carbon credits by the square foot with cleaning water with a hemp for water project. There's a heavy demand for that, and it's supported on the presidential level at this time, as Dave had said. And this being a special day, I think it's a day to celebrate the fact that we have a crop finally that's versatile enough to help us on so many levels. And today is also our 5-year anniversary for Grandpa's Garden Company. We've been in business for half a decade now, doing organic gardens in the heart of our freshwater resource here in the Great Lakes. It's a pretty special day. We're doing a plant giveaway. You can reach us at Facebook at grandpasgardencompany.com. or grandpasgardencompany@gmail.com, and reach out to us that way. And also check out hempforwater.org to check our project out. And there's a lot of data on there. You can meet the team, see what our projects look like down in Florida. And yeah, and we're always available to answer any questions regarding Hemp for Water.
Quick factoid before you guys hang up. Happy Earth Day. Mid Michigan Hemp Supply's greenhouses absorb 160,000 pounds of CO2 or 8 metric tons in 3 months. Just so you know.
Wow.
A greenhouses.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Well, it's a great show, and appreciate you guys. This has been a nice day today so far.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah. Well, happy Earth Day, everyone. And certainly hemp can help the world with that situation with the carbon in the air, right? So.
Right. Yeah. Somebody's got to start cleaning our air, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Have hemp do it.
Right.
All right.
Well, happy humping.
Peace and love.
Okay. See you all next week. Oh, what's the show next week, Blaine?
Oh, thanks, Mike, for throwing that in there. Yep. So next week we got a fun show. We're going to have Greg Dean on from the Hemp Plastic Company right here in Michigan, and be able to share a lot of great news about what's happening again with the hemp stalks and what we're able to do, and manufacturing is coming along, and it's all working together. It's just taking a while to get the train down the station. So,
sorry.
All right.
All right.
Till next week. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you.